Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the coolest inventions out there, 3D printers. Imagine taking an idea from your mind and turning it into something you can actually hold, use, and even play with. Whether it's creating toys, custom gadgets, or even futuristic things like parts for rockets and robots, 3D printing is transforming the world around us in ways we never thought possible. So, stick around as we explore how these amazing machines work, what you can make with them, and the mind-blowing future of 3D printing. Let's get started. A 3D printer is a special machine that can make real, solid objects from a design you create on a computer. It's a bit like a regular printer, but instead of just printing flat pictures on paper, a 3D printer builds objects you can hold, use, or play with. These objects can be anything from a toy to a keychain, or even something useful like a part of a tool. Imagine if you could think up something new and then the 3D printer helped you create it in real life. That's exactly what a 3D printer does. Here's how it works. First, you start with a design. You can make this design on a computer using special drawing software, or you can download designs that other people have made. The design is like a recipe that tells the printer exactly how to build the object, step by step. Once the design is ready, the computer prepares it for the printer by slicing it into many thin layers. Imagine slicing a loaf of bread. Each slice is very thin, and when they're all stacked up, they form the whole loaf. In a similar way, the printer builds the object layer by layer until it's complete. When it starts printing, the 3D printer adds material in thin layers, beginning at the bottom and slowly building up to the top. The material it uses depends on what kind of 3D printer it is, but often it's a type of plastic that melts and then hardens as it cools. Other printers might use a special liquid called resin, which hardens when a light shines on it. Some big fancy printers even use powders made of metal or ceramic, which are melted by lasers to make super strong objects. By adding one layer on top of another, the 3D printer can create just about any shape you can imagine, from simple cubes to complicated models with lots of tiny details. With a 3D printer, you can make so many cool things. Kids and adults use them to create toys and action figures, mini animals, models of buildings, and all kinds of things. People who like games even make custom pieces for their board games. If you ever need a special part for a tool, or if you break something and need a replacement piece, you can print one on a 3D printer. Some 3D printers are used in hospitals to make medical devices like artificial limbs, braces for teeth, or even detailed models of organs so that doctors can study them. Artists use 3D printers to make sculptures, jewelry, and other art that would be hard to create by hand. And believe it or not, some huge 3D printers can even print entire houses. They use thick, concrete-like material to build walls and floors, layer by layer, just like a regular 3D printer, but much bigger. One reason 3D printers are so amazing is that they let you turn your ideas into real objects. If you can think it up, and if you have the right design, a 3D printer can probably make it. This lets people create objects exactly how they want them, which is called customization. Maybe you want a toy that's a mix of a dragon and a unicorn, or a keychain with your name on it. A 3D printer makes it possible to design and print things to look exactly the way you imagine. Another great thing about 3D printers is that they use only the amount of material they need to build the object, so they create very little waste. In regular factories, making things often leaves behind leftover materials, but 3D printers are much more precise, adding only the exact amount needed. A lot of people use 3D printers to make something called a prototype, which is like a test version of a new invention. Let's say you come up with a new kind of game piece, but you want to see if it works well before making a whole set. With a 3D printer, you can print out one piece, test it, and make changes to your design if you need to. This saves time and makes it easier to experiment with new ideas without waiting too long. There are different types of 3D printers that work in slightly different ways. The most common type, especially for people at home, is called an FDM printer. It uses plastic that melts and hardens as it builds the layers. It's great for printing things like toys, simple models, and fun household items. Another type, called an SLA printer, uses a special liquid resin that hardens when a laser shines on it. SLA printers are really good for making detailed objects like tiny models or jewelry. Some printers, called SLS printers, use powder made from materials like metal or ceramic. They're often used in factories to make strong parts for cars, airplanes, and even rockets. Even though 3D printing is super cool, it does have some challenges. Printing an object can take a long time. Small toys might take just a couple of hours, but if you're printing something big or detailed, it could take days to finish. Also, some materials are still tricky to use in 3D printing, like fabrics or stretchy rubber. And while some 3D printers are affordable now, especially small ones, big or high-quality printers can still be very expensive. 3D printing is still a new technology, and people are finding new ways to use it every day. Scientists are working on creating new materials for 3D printing, like special kinds of food and even biological materials that might one day be used to print things like skin or organs for people who need medical help. Some scientists are even experimenting with 3D printing in space, so astronauts could make tools and parts while they're far away from Earth. There's a lot of excitement about what 3D printers will be able to do in the future, and who knows what else people will come up with. In short, a 3D printer is a machine that builds real objects by adding material in layers. You start with a design on a computer, the printer creates it layer by layer, and you end up with something you can hold in your hand. From toys and tools to buildings and medical devices, 3D printing is changing the way people create and invent. It's an awesome invention that makes it possible to turn almost any idea into a real physical object that you can use or share with others. And that's a wrap on our journey into the amazing world of 3D printing. From custom toys and tools to jaw-dropping inventions in medicine and space, it's clear that 3D printing is only just getting started. The possibilities are truly endless, and who knows? The next big idea might come from you, so if this video inspired you, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss out on future deep dives into a wide variety of interesting topics. Thanks for watching, and let's keep creating and exploring together. See you in the next video.